Okay. Hi, friends. Hey, hey. We have a lot to cover, so hi, I'm gonna get us started, even though I know we're waiting on a few to start to kind of trickle in. Holy cow. Come on, sort it out. There we go. Okay. I have been fighting with technology all day today, so it's fine. That's just how it is. Yeah, all my life is accurate. You okay?
I have a cold.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
it arrived last night.
Oh, bummer.
So like, I've been taking medicine all day. It's just a common cold.
Yeah. Just annoying. You have kids. That's
Yeah.
how it goes.
Oh,
You just get sick.
What do I need to do? My husband has drill this weekend.
Okay.
So I'm single mommy.
Mhm.
How do I get a Zoom link?
Just fill out the form,
Okay,
and don't close the confirmation page.
okay,
It'll give you the link to join.
sweet.
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so we're gonna do intro to meditation tonight. Yay. Yeah, meditation has been rough for me the last like few months, but you know, that's how it goes. We'll talk about some of that stuff. So check in, let's talk about in your check-in, tell me about your experience, if any, with meditation, and then what you're hoping to glean from the 2 hours tonight. Okay. That said, there is tomorrow morning, the meditation pre-recorded practices are set to release for you. There's 4 of them. Each one is the recording is about a half hour. The actual meditation is probably closer to 20 minutes, just between the setup and everything like that. And the practices are going to start to incorporate some of the pranayama techniques that we did, or that were in the pranayama practice videos. So, trying to tie them together. So hopefully, my hope is that by the end of tonight, just depending on how the conversation goes and everything like that, that we'll have time to kind of give you some ideas as to how you can tie these 2 concepts into your hour-long vinyasa class. Okay, so kind of keeping them really accessible for you. Cool. Okay, who wants to go first? Who wants to tell me about meditation? Hello. Awesome.
So meditation, I have done it before. I feel also like Kristen, like it's really hard lately, especially like silly because I'm so busy right now and I'm like, what's up my day? And then I just go on. But I learned about meditation like 10 years ago. And so I love visualizing, like that really helps me. So I put like a YouTube, like, you know, they take you to like think about a tree or like you're a tree and the branches are coming and that part of it. And I really, really enjoy it. And I actually some years ago, I did a theta healing certification. So basically you go into theta state, like you meditate to a theta state, which is like a brainwave where you can access like limited beliefs and then download a new like software with like new beliefs and like checking in your body, like that will give you like an answer like what's going on. And that is pretty cool. I don't do it as often anymore, but when I did it, it was like, yeah, like pretty powerful. So
Nice. All right, which way you sending it?
happy.
Okay.
I have a limited experience with meditation. I have a hard time focusing. So I like the guided meditations. I find them really helpful. And for a while, I've wanted to get into transcendental meditation, but I haven't taken that. Part of me, like I know it's not a waste of time, but part of me, it's like it's so much easier to fill my day with doing all the things than to like, I'm just gonna sit and yeah. But I know that it's beneficial.
I get it. I know.
I feel like it's beneficial too. I've had limited, time with it. Did the YouTube guided meditation also, but I have a hard time, I guess attention span, it's like, I'm there doing it and then I get either bored or I'm thinking about something else, so I just get up and just, just start doing it. So, but I'm excited to learn how to really, dive into it and really do it, so.
Yeah. I can actually relate. I was like, I was so in my head this morning and I was like, I need to just move. So I threw down my mat and I tried to do my own practice like I usually do. Wasn't happening. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna live stream a class because I'm never gonna make it to the studio on time. Live stream the class, got 10 minutes into it. I'm like, I just want to turn it off. Like, not because it wasn't a good class. It's just my brain was just like, nope, this is not working. So I get it. I get it. All these brains.
So same, I have a difficult time trying to make my mind stay still. And when I do try and I'm in a particular position for a while, then I let the physical uncomfortable kind of dictate the mental aspect of, oh, I've got to stand up because my ankle hurts or like any excuse to get out of it because it's just, I just don't know how and I'm not comfortable. And so I'm really looking forward to it and hoping to develop just even, the smallest little baby step techniques to get me to where I actually am meditating because it's something I've always been fascinated with.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks.
So I've been meditating, I was mostly like sleep meditation though, to get to sleep, at night. I've been doing that for a couple of years, it's, I have the same issue, like some nights it goes really well and I can like stay awake for the whole thing, other nights I just crash. And there's like a certain guy, his name is Ross Rayburn, it's on my Peloton app. And he puts me to sleep like that. So, and I don't know what it is about his voice, but it's like very soothing and just, but others I'll listen to and like be able to like actually like do the things that they, ask you to like focus on your whatever part of your body or whatever and kind of go through it, but I do sometimes, it depends on kind of the day, if I can actually focus and not want to do, like you mentioned in yoga all the time, like, stop doing your grocery list, stop thinking about other things, like kind of focus on yourself and the moment. But I'm interested, I'm pretty excited about learning more about it.
Cool. Thanks.
I can't breathe.
It's okay. Sorry.
It's okay. I like listening to myself was terrible.
It sounds worse to you than it does to us.
Yeah, sure.
No, trust me.
Shit, I lost it. Oh, meditation. I have never really liked guided meditations because I can't imagine things. Like, so the meditations where they're like, imagine you're in a field and I'm like, I can't fucking do that. Like, I can think about it, but it's not the same. It's more of an active thought. And I'm like, this is not meditative for me because I can't get into I can't see this beautiful full space. I'm just like, I'm more focused on the fact that I can't see it.
Yeah.
So it's like not beneficial to me. However, my best friend went to Japan recently and I don't know I don't want to misspeak, but she went to some kind of monastery and they taught her this like counting meditation and I love it. Because I love it. And she told me about it because we were getting tattoos together and I was like, why are you so calm? Like why are you like so chill? Like not that I'm like screaming or anything when I get a tattoo, but she was like so stoic. I was like, this is unfair. And she was like, oh, I'm doing this meditation. And I was like, share, please. And then you you count to 10 and then you count back down and then you count back up and you count back and you
Mhm.
just keep doing that and like you kind of lose yourself. But it's more than just counting, you count each breath to
Yes.
10 and then you count back down.
Yeah.
And like it just becomes like trancy, like I don't know how else to describe it, but that's the best meditation like thing that I've experienced is this counting because it's thoughtless.
Mhm.
Like once you get into the rhythm, like the breath is even and your counting is even and it just like it's second nature. So that's my only real experience with meditation is sucking and doing the counting breathing.
Yeah, sounds like a Buddhist meditation.
Yeah, I was gonna
like
say,
a
it's
shamatha
Yeah,
meditation.
I really, it truly resonates for me.
Cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
I can breathe now.
Look at that. Hi, Ben.
Hey. I've always been into some kind of health and fitness and I liked martial arts, the martial arts back in the day for a little bit. I tried meditation in the conventional sense then and like others in my sangha here just couldn't sit with it. I mean, physically, I can discipline myself to sit and, for a good amount of time, but that was it. And so later on, I embarked on a spiritual journey, kind of shared a little bit here and there, which led me to the body work I do here now. And it was involving inner alchemy, transforming energy with the meridians and the channels, opening the centers through the major organs, which led me to understand it involved putting my mind some particular where and being able to, with some control, do something with that. And that involved concentration in a particular sense that I understood as meditation. And what I have done to adapt it to myself is, throughout the day, you can have like infinite meditations anywhere at any time. For me specifically, it involves syncing my, so if I'm in my head and I'm just whatever, anything and everything is going on. But in context, if there's something in there I don't want, or if there's just stuff I need to clear, I can relax my diaphragm, my thoracic diaphragm, and literally sync the thought. It's a practice. And what that requires is just a little bit of kind of meditation. And I've learned to develop, when I sync the thought at the Mula Bandha, lock a intention. So I would sync the thought, neutralize it. At the same time I'm syncing the thought, it's just like an affirmation. So I'm saying an affirmation, I can think the opposite of the affirmation. So usually if I'm up and about in beta frequency, there's a thought in there that's too much, I'll sync it. And at the same time, I would put the affirmation. And as it sinks down to the bottom, I put the affirmation, lock it with the Mula Bandha, and sip it back up to the crown chakra. And so that's kind of like a little kind of thing, but it involves a concentration of the mind, which is kind of like meditation, and that's what I do. But in a conventional sense and deepening my understanding with yoga practice, I'm really looking forward to trying new things.
Yeah, all right. No small feat there. You got a lot going on there.
You know,
I'm a little zoned out right now.
Okay.
I have not eaten a lot today. So I have my snacks, trying to eat. But I've been meditating kind of inconsistently since I was like 16. I'll be really good about it for like a couple months and then I'll fall off. And I'll come back and then I'll fall off. And I always do it at night because during the day, I always feel like I have too many things to do and like I can't sit down for 5 minutes and just breathe and just think. I have to get up and I have to go do things now. So I'm trying to work on that, but when I am more consistent with it, it's really nice and I really do like sleep meditations, especially because the goal is to sleep. So the more relaxed I get, I'm like, this is great, and then I'm gone.
Okay. Good, good. What about you?
I've meditated on and off mostly to clear my mind or like sink into uncomfortable thoughts to figure stuff out. Yeah, I haven't done a lot of guided, so I've enjoyed the ones we've done some. Interested to, I'm excited to have a little bit more, like something I can just pull out and use, not just a vague topic.
Yeah, like more structure with it.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. All right. So a little bit of background into my like history with meditation. I actually started meditation before I even like thought about yoga. And I started from a Buddhist place, actually. My dad of all people who we are not close, and he's always like, you're having feelings. Okay. Like I was going through a really rough time and he was like, I went to visit him. He was living in Vegas at the time and he's like, he just comes over and he's like, hands me a pamphlet. He's like, I found a Buddhist place I think you might like. I was like, weird. First of all, why are you giving this to me? And he's like, I know you're having a hard time. I was like, okay, cool. So I went and kind of like what you were saying, Erin, it was just like, it made sense. Like
Yeah.
we did some of these like counting meditations, which led into other types of Buddhist meditations. And it just like something clicked. And I was like, oh, I feel okay. Like I actually feel okay and can be with myself. So that kind of sparked other things. And then I eventually like got into yoga teaching and things like that. So my first like introduction to actually teaching meditation, I went through a Buddhist teacher training to teach meditation. Which we're not going to talk about tonight. We're not going to do that stuff tonight. There are some similarities and overlaps, but a lot of differences as well. One of the main differences, we're going to talk about yoga meditation, and one of the main differences between Buddhist meditation and yoga meditation has to do with the breath. In Buddhist meditation, it's all about peaceful abiding, right? And so that means you're just abiding by what is. You're not trying to manipulate the breath. You're not trying to do anything with the breath. You're just noticing the breath, understanding the breath, and hopefully gleaning something from that, right? Whereas with yoga meditation, it tends to be more active. And what I mean by that is usually there's some sort of tool or job that you're doing in order to kind of corral your mind, right? So those of you that struggle with sitting still and, emptying your mind, good news. We're not going to empty our mind, no matter how hard you try. You have internal processes that require your brain to function or you don't exist any longer, right? So your brain is going to always have those impulses. Those impulses are always going to have these like shock waves, if you will, to create thoughts and things like that. So even you know, the ancient yogi sages and the, you know, Buddhist monks and things like that, that go off and dedicate their lives to these practices, they still think. But it's what they do with those thoughts that makes the difference, right? They don't attach to their thoughts. They're able to become more of a witness to those thoughts. And really that's all we're trying to do here with some of this stuff, okay? So my goal tonight is to hopefully get you to an understanding of the different concepts within yoga meditation, help you to understand the benefits of having a regular practice. And then hopefully you develop your own personal practice within whatever type of practice works for you, right? So some of you mentioned like sleep meditation. That's good. That's good. But I'm going to encourage you that if that's your regular practice, to add something to it, right? So do something more active with it rather than using it to sleep, which, like I said, is great, but and also, okay. So let's talk about what is meditation? Like, how would you define meditation to someone? There's no wrong answers. This is just open discussion. Okay,
I think it's a tool.
A tool.
That you can use to go in, to
Mhm.
pause, right, to stop the monkey mind.
Yeah.
And, you know, like go in and check in with yourself and like, pause.
Mhm.
That's how I see it, that's how it works when, I've done it, not a lot, but yeah.
Yeah, a tool to pause, to stop the chatter. Mhm. What else?
I think of it mostly, and maybe this is just what I do, but like, I think of it a lot as breath work,
Okay.
not exclusively, but like a lot of my meditations have pranayama in them, so maybe that's why.
Yeah.
My brain's not functioning.
That's okay.
It's fine.
And we'll talk about it. Pranayama is it is a separate practice from meditation, and you can use pranayama as a tool to deepen your meditation, right? So it's not like they have to be mutually exclusive, right? They can work together, and they do work together. When we talk about the 8 limbs though, in that context of like classical yoga, right? If we were, you know, 1,000 years ago or what have you, we would be prescribed a practice, right? You would go and master the yamas first, then the niyamas, and so on and so forth. And so pranayama comes before meditation for that reason, because it's easier to access the benefits more immediately than it is with meditation. Meditation, the benefits are cumulative and they're quiet. You're not going to like necessarily get up from a meditation and be like, changed my life, right? Like maybe you'll have those moments, but generally speaking, most people, when they first start a meditation practice, it is a struggle. It's a struggle to try to get your mind to stop, right? But again, good news, we don't have to get our minds to stop. We just have to stop paying so much attention to the circles that our minds create. Yeah. Which, like I said, I've been on the struggle bus with the last like pretty much year with my meditation practice. I still do it. But I find myself getting more and more frustrated with it for various reasons. Like there's just a lot of like upheaval in my life right now. And it's just like, yeah, meditation. I'm like, I don't want to sit with this. No, thank you. There's a lot of thoughts in there that are not good. But I still do it. Right. And so, you know, some of you also mentioned like, oh, you know, I meditate when I'm stressed and things like that. Right. It's a normal inclination. But think what I want you to think of is your mind as a muscle. right? Like if you set out on like an exercise plan or what have you, and you have a goal of like building X amount of muscle, you know, or whatever your goal is, are you gonna get there if you're just like, oh, there's weights over there, I should probably go lift some weights? And you do like a quick burst for like, you know, an hour for one day, and then it's like 2 more months before you touch them again. You're probably not gonna build so much, right? So meditation is best or most effective when it is done consistently. And you do need to build those tapas, that discipline, in order to be able to be like, I know this is not what I want to do right now. I don't want to sit here and do it, but I know it's good for me, right? So all it really takes is 5 to 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be like sit down for a half an hour and meditate, right? It could be something as simple as 5 to 10 minutes. I will tell you, I set my alarm like 5 minutes early, which usually I'm up anyway because my body is like, hey, it's 3. Let's wake up. So, you know, I set my alarm early, and this is how glamorous my practice is most days. Like I slide out of bed onto my cushion next to my bed, and I wrap a blanket around me, and I just sit there for like my few minutes, and I do my meditation, like super not glamorous at all. I'll do movement later on once I'm more awake, but like that's how I start my day most mornings. So you can do it. Go team. I really like this idea from my meditation teacher, who talked about thinking of meditation as a way to befriend your mind, right? All day long, our mind is just swirling and creating these circles, these loops. There's like studies that you have roughly the same 10 thoughts every day, right? And you tend to get in a pattern. And so meditation is trying to break that pattern so that you can go deeper. You can understand yourself better beyond those 10 recurring thoughts that you typically have.
Just a comment on befriending your mind is a good point. Because from how I kind of looked at some things, I could be thinking thoughts in my head that I think are my thoughts. But when, you know, I just kind of question things like, why do I actually crave the things? And this is at a time and place that really kind of detriment my body.
Mhm.
That befriending is kind of like a practice, because it's like kind of pushed on us to like inside be having like normal turmoil. You don't have to be in a crisis or, you know, oh, woe is me, but
Yeah.
just normally always.
Mhm. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Your mind wants to be in control. It doesn't have to be though. So that brings me to, what kind of meditation should you do?
That's the
Go
question.
ahead, Karen.
Are there different types if you're trying to achieve different results?
Oh, yes, there's so many different types of meditation that we're just gonna like scrape the tip of the iceberg.
Okay.
Yeah, there's so many different types of meditation, and each meditation can bring about different results and things like that. But really, the type of meditation that you should do is the one that you will do, right? Like in the pre-recorded videos that I have for you, you may not connect with a particular meditation, and that's okay, right? It doesn't, give it a couple tries, but if you're like, "It's still not working for me," because like the counting meditation, oh, that drives me crazy. I can't do it. I can do other types of like mindfulness meditations, but the counting, I'm always like, you're getting it wrong. You didn't get to that one. Like it's super critical mind. But so I just don't do that one. But there's no rule that says I have to do that one to progress to something else, right? So do the meditation that you will do. Okay. Yeah. Um, what are some benefits of meditation? Why should we meditate? I mean, beyond like getting to know your mind and things like that, but like what are some physiological benefits that you've heard of or otherwise?
Regulation
Regulation? Mhm.
of all kinds.
Yeah, yeah. Regulating body systems, regulating mental systems. Mhm. Meditation is actually like if you're a nerd like I am and love brain stuff, like meditation is actually, we're actually starting to study meditation and how it impacts the brain. And they're showing studies where like it's actually regenerating gray matter and able to create new neural connections, which is really fascinating. So you're literally rewiring your brain, right? You can quite literally. Now, keep in mind the studies are small. They're small, and they're very specific, but it is showing a lot of promise.
I love the idea of that, but then, because we just use like a very small percentage of our brain, right, is what I've always known. And if meditation, like I would be afraid like of unlocking something.
Yeah.
Like, I don't wanna start seeing like dead people or anything. You know what I mean? Like I want a panel, but I don't, like, it'd be cool to move that chair from one place to another place, but I don't wanna see dead people, like, you know.
Oh, yeah, you gotta get, there's so many
As
things
a-
that would have to happen before that would happen. So, I mean, yeah, that's, but the thing is though, like, you know, how do I phrase this? So yoga and yoga meditation isn't going to give you more than you're ready for, right? There are ways to like jumpstart things, of course, but like what you're talking about, like mystical powers and things like that, like there's stories of, yogis having mystical powers and being able to do all of these things, of course. But keep in mind, they like left their homes when they were like teenagers and dedicated their lives to these practices and went and sat in the woods and fasted and you know what I mean? Like all these things. So we're fine.
Yeah.
We're good. We're good.
Who's the other part, if we're only using what 10, whatever percent?
Yeah, no, I mean, we
You
use our brain, we use the whole brain, we don't know what those processes are doing. Right, so like, we don't fully understand all of what's happening in there. That said, I mean. Yeah, the whole idea when we talk about yoga meditation is again, this idea of liberation, right? And so as we move through the 8 limbs, eventually coming upon samadhi, which we talked about on Tuesday a little bit, right? And again, it's still this idea that when you have those moments of clarity, those moments of peace, those moments of understanding, you're taking that little nugget of knowledge and you're bringing it back and using it again to serve relationships with others, the greater good, what have you. So, yeah, I mean, if you start to have the ability to move chairs and stuff, I need a raise.
We're doing so good.
want a bench spoon.
And the spoon. Hi, Greg. Okay, so There are, like I said, there's tons of types of meditation. There's yoga meditation, Buddhist meditation, transcendental meditation, mindfulness, you know, and on and on and on. And then what happens is, you know, from the Western lens, we kind of just co-opt all of these different concepts, and, you know, we've got therapists and doctors using meditation, which is amazing. It's so good. But again, for our purposes, we're going to talk about more of the classical types of practices and how you can kind of hone them for your own practice. Yeah. A note about some of these classical practices. So like we're going to talk about Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. With these, you can't actually, like, these are not things that can be practiced. You can't sit down and be like, I am going to practice dhyana today. That's kind of not the way that I want you to think about it. The way that I'd rather you think about it is you're creating the environment for which these experiences might start to happen, right? So you're creating this, the right conditions to bring about the state of dharana, bring about the state of dhyana and samadhi, right? Because what happens is that if you sit down and you're like, I am going to practice samadhi today, good luck. Good luck. Okay. And it also, you know, it creates that sense of attraction and aversion, right? We want that good feeling. We want that state of awareness. And when we don't get it, we're going to be frustrated with the practice. So all you're doing is setting the right conditions for the state to spontaneously happen. If it does happen, cool. If it doesn't happen, that is also cool. Even the reason why, even though my practice, my meditation practice is frustrating right now, when ever since I started practicing meditation, like, how old am I? That's a long time. A long time ago. When I started that practice, like, it was fairly easeful. Like I could find those states pretty easily. And now it's like, it's a fight just to like get 3 seconds without a thought swirling, you know, and driving me crazy. So, but I keep practicing it because I know that I am setting the stage to bring about these peaceful moments. Hopefully, hopefully I get there again. But you know, such is life. Okay. Let's, it's gonna start to get a little bit of crossover, but that's okay. So let's talk about the seat for meditation before we get too far into these practices, okay? So a lot like the seat for pranayama, you want to sit upright and as comfortable as you can make yourself. So that means you're probably sitting on something that's lifting your hips up higher than your knees so that your knees can slope away from your hips. And the wider you can bring your feet or bring your knees apart, the better it's going to be for you. So that means like sitting on a cushion, elevated up off the floor, letting your knees slope down and away from you with your ankles crossed. If this is not comfortable for you, you can sit with your legs out and knees bent in front of you, right? It's okay, right? There's, you know, I'd rather you be comfortable than miserable. Okay. There's a very fine line between discomfort and pain, and you're the only one that knows where that line is. Okay. So pain is not something that you want to sit through. Sometimes learning to sit through discomfort, though, is a good tool. Because if you could sit through physical discomfort, then you can probably sit through some mental discomfort as well. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? And you'll sit upright, finding as much of your natural S curve in your spine as you can. And again, hands can take a mudra if that feels good, or You can let them rest in your lap, whatever works for you. The idea, though, is that you're comfortable and still. And sometimes the still part is the challenging part, right? So you're not physically squirming around and things like that. So experiment with the way you sit. You can sit up against a wall, but I would suggest that if you do that, to make sure that your whole back from the tailbone all the way up to the crown of your head is up against the wall to avoid this happening. Because over time, this will happen and you'll start to slump down the wall. Okay.
Lying down.
It's not preferred to be lying down, though you can. Chances of you falling asleep when you're laying down are a lot higher. And when we're looking at it from an energetic perspective, right, this is part of this spiritual pursuit, right, that you're on. Yes, you're going to get, the increase in your gray matter. Yes, you're going to have regulation of bodily systems. Yes, you're going to see less stress, more time between the stimulus and the response, right? But you're also like, it's an energetic practice, right? So we want to make sure that what runs along your spinal column, what are those things called?
Sure. I mean,
Nadis.
I was gonna say your spinal cord.
That too.
It's also.
That too.
but
Yeah, I mean, you want to have that free flow of the cerebrospinal fluid too, right? You can't get neural connections going if you can't get messages to the rest of the body, yeah. So yeah, making sure that, from an energetic perspective, you're aligned with the earth and the poles are pointing downwards, if you will. But again, if the only way that you are comfortable in order to calm and still your mind, then lie down. Try not to fall asleep, but lie down. You could also sit in a chair, right, with your feet on something. I'd say flat on the floor, but I'm the person that, like, my legs don't touch the ground. My feet don't touch the ground. So have your feet on something, sit at about a 90-degree angle and your spine away from the back of the chair as much as you can. Okay. Questions, comments? You're quiet tonight. What happened? Tuesday, you were all rowdy. Okay. Sugar? Yeah, there's no sugar here tonight. Okay. So let's dive in to Pratyahara. Have you heard this word? What is it? What's Pratyahara?
Drawing all your senses inward
Drawing senses inward.
is what the teaching yoga book says, what that means.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell.
Okay. Yeah. What else? What else do you know about it?
our our senses, we receive energy and whatever both ways. But what could happen is we can leak. It's kind of like if I close the door and this may not be closed all the way. So if I'm watching a TV show and then for some reason when I'm not watching a TV show, it's kind of in the back of my head, it may not be consciously in my thoughts, but it just shows that we can just have our minds on a whole bunch of things. We can link energy, and withdrawing the senses is a way. Just like I can lock my parts to, I guess, not leak or just hold whatever it is, either your attention or things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I first started to learn this idea of Pratyahara, it was described as withdrawal of the senses, right? And it's like, well, but they're always on, right? They're always on. You can't turn them off. So how do you withdraw from the thing that's always going in the background, right? So it's kind of like that TV show always going in the background. And I like this idea that you're opening up to the full experience of your senses. And so in a pratyahara practice, or again, setting the conditions to have a pratyahara experience, really what you're doing is you're saturating your senses and allowing them to take all that they can so that you kind of satisfy their need to grasp onto things. Does that make sense? So like, if I were to take you through, like a body scan meditation is a good example of pratyahara. So in a body scan meditation, you're intensely focused on sensations that are happening within your body, within your sense field. And so you might hone in on sounds, you might hone in on scents, you might hone in on skin sensations, things like that, so that you're satisfying your body's need to grasp onto something to distract you, right? If I were to tell you right now to sit and meditate and empty your mind of thoughts, your brain, your mind has all kinds of things that it's going to do to try to call your attention, right? If the thoughts don't work, it's going to make you itchy in a spot, right? Your nose is going to itch. It's true though, right? Like you try to get quiet and you try to get still, or your leg is going to fall asleep, or you're going to hear something and your brain's going to be like, hey, did you hear what they said over there? Can you hear what they're saying? You know, like different things like that. So when you are in a state, let's say you're, you know, you're super agitated, super busy mind, things like that. If you try to sit down and meditate, it's not going to happen. It's not going to work so well for you. So flood yourself with your senses. Let your senses get satisfied. And then your brain is like, oh, okay. They're on to me. When you're fully immersed in a pranayama practice, like if you are doing a pranayama practice and it is just like clicking for you and you're in it, pratyahara can naturally happen. It'll spontaneously happen. So pay attention to that. Another kind of concept that is pulled from the Buddhist mindfulness concept is an open monitoring meditation where you're literally just sitting and open your senses to everything around you. The trick is if you're doing that, so like this would be a perfect opportunity to do it. There's lots of noise, lots of talking, things like that. But you're just experiencing all of what's happening around you without attaching to it, right? So when your thoughts start to pull you in the direction of like somebody dropped something, your job with open monitoring is to let that noise be without even saying somebody dropped something, right? Your mind is going to be like, oh, they dropped that. Your whole deal is to not label it, right? Just witness without labeling, which is tricky. It's not an easy thing to do.
I wish I would have brought my, where I took notes from the True Yoga. It's the one where it states in the book, like, if something creeps in, it can creep in, but just allow, like, just push it away, like, just gently push it away. That's something that I thought was gonna be really helpful for me, like.
Yeah.
Don't deny it.
Right.
Because that takes effort.
Right.
But as it creeps in, I mean, it's hunger.
Yeah. Yep. And so it's actually, the way that I learned it is whatever it is, right? Whether it's a thought, a sound, a physical sensation, whatever it might be, you notice it. So, oh, there's a thought, right? You notice it, you label it as I learned to label it as distraction, right? So whatever it is, notice the thought, sensation, what have you, label it as distraction. Let it go, and then return to your breath, or return to whatever the practice is. And that in and of itself is an amazing meditation, right? You could do that 40 times in 20 seconds. And while you might be frustrated that you're like, I keep having these things pull me away, if you're able to like notice it, label it, let it go, and then return to whatever the practice is, you're strengthening your mindfulness in doing that. Yeah, so that can be a really powerful practice in and of itself. But yeah, Pratyahara is, it's most commonly like this first like baby step of meditation, if you will. And that's not to say that it's an easy thing to do by any stretch of the imagination. It still requires a lot of work. It still requires a lot of practice, but it's like that first step to start to calm your mind so that you can set the stage for deeper levels of meditation, deeper levels of focus, if you will. Yeah. Yeah, so you create a situation where you're totally absorbed in what you're doing, that your senses no longer respond to the objects. Which is a lot like, well, no, we're going to talk about that next. Did you have something?
No.
Oh, okay.
We can announce here the handout.
Yeah, good. Good, good. Okay. Questions about Pratyahara?
I also happened during chanting.
Chanting is actually with our next little practice. Yeah.
I'm just gonna make a note, like some of the apps, like the Western apps,
Mhm.
meditation, like the guided meditation, they used to be like, okay, notice your thoughts and then minute class. And
Mhm.
so go back to like witness, you are the witness.
Yep.
You're so consuming apps.
Yep.
And then it just. So is that Pratyahara?
It can be. Yeah, it can be. I mean, that kind of falls in line with the open monitoring. Yeah, just allowing things to be there without grasping.
If I forget, because I was gonna mention this, and I
Yeah,
feel awfully chatty tonight, it's probably because I haven't been with you guys.
Yeah, please do.
But, I meant to mention it when we were reading True Yoga, because I needed to look at something because I'm very visual and when I'm learning a lot. It's just nice to have like a quick summary,
Mhm.
and I found this, I don't think it was online once, but it was online, and there's her instructor taught her that the first 5 limbs, and you've probably heard it, but the first 5 limbs are taught and the last 3 are
Mhm.
which I thought was really cool. Like you said, like, good luck, you said,
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna achieve samadhi to right now.
Mhm.
I'm gonna meditate about that. So
Yeah.
I just thought it was cool that the first 5 are taught and the last 3 are caught.
Yeah. I haven't heard that before, or at least if I did, I've forgotten it. But it's true, like the last part of it is all experiential, right? And the tricky part is to not get caught up in striving for that. Yeah, they just happen. Yeah, you set the stage and see what happens. So, well, I mean, that's a good kind of segue into dharana. So dharana, what's this? What do you know about this? Sixth limb. It's the sixth one.
I like this when I think like back at the beginning of the training. Amber in one of the videos, she does an exercise like it's this, I think this is dharana, where you look at a candle.
Mm.
And then you just stare at it like the drishti, and then you close your eye and then you still see it. everyone.
Yeah,
I like
that's,
that.
that's actually, that's a specific technique that falls under a dharana practice. Mhm,
Yeah, I really didn't.
mhm.
And then I moved on.
Yeah.
My life, but-
Yeah, yeah, so candle gazing is, or, well, it's not just candle gazing, I shouldn't say that. So what you're talking about is Trataka or Tratak meditation. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that here in a moment. But what is, so from True Yoga, what is dharana? What does it mean?
Concentration.
Concentration. Mhm. Single pointed focus, right? And so it's when the mind is calm and you use a tool to focus on, rather than focus on your swirling thoughts or what have you. Traditionally, the traditional focus here is mantra. So chanting can be here. So mantra or japamala. And the idea is that you are giving your mind something to do, to focus it, right? So you're repeating a mantra. You are, pranayam can fall into this category too. So you can use pranayam as the focus in a meditation in this way. And when you do, you can bring about a state of dharana, where you are so focused on the thing that you can almost feel the rest of loud. God. You can almost feel everything else falling away. It's not quite there yet, though, right? It's that like precursor. Do y'all want to go in the small studio? We're gonna go in there in a minute. Have you used mala before? Do you know what mala is? Mhm.
Yeah. What would that be?
Yeah,
I know. Not the tree.
Right. yeah.
You did every project now.
Oh, okay, gotcha. 108, yep, 108. So mala is, japa mala is a method of using those to meditate. So not necessarily chanting out loud, though you can, but it's more of a muttering, right? So you're kind of like mumbling and mush mouthing it as you're going with it. Yeah, but it's just a muttering meditation. You could also repeat the mantra mentally, doesn't have to be out loud. And Tratak is, so Tratak or Trataka is gazing at a sacred symbol and or flame. And so a couple different ways that you can do it. You can start out with maybe a pratyahara practice, or starting to get your mind quiet, things like that. And then you would have in front of you the symbol that you're going to look at, whether it's this. I saw him going in and I was like, I know it's going to be loud as soon as he opens the door. It can be like a statue or a symbol, like the yantras that we have for the chakras, the little geometric symbols. It can be a candle or what have you, whatever it is that you're wanting to gaze at. But the idea is that you sit and you meditate. And then when you feel ready, you open your eyes. The object is at a comfortable distance for your eyes, so you don't have to tip your head up or down or anything. You can just open your eyes and gaze at it. And you stare at it without blinking for anywhere from 30 seconds to 90 seconds. Your eyes will tear and burn and all kinds of stuff. The idea is to like just hold that object in your gaze. And then after the time period has elapsed that you've chosen, then you close your eyes And the reverse imprint of that image will then be on the backs of your eyelids, right? And it's gonna get all squirrely and try to move around on you, and you're supposed to try to hold it still. Open your eyes, rinse and repeat as many times as you want to. And the idea is that you are starting to find a connection between yourself and the object. It's not there yet. You're still just focusing on that thing, but you're starting to find that connection. Okay. Hi, you. You can also do it with a candle, and there's another way that you can do it as well. So you can, again, have the object or flame at a comfortable distance from yourself, and you hold your thumb out in front of you. Okay. And what you do is you stare at your thumb. So it's like blocking almost sight of the object. Okay. And so you stare at your thumb, and then you very gently shift your gaze to stare at the object, right? And at some point, they each start to disappear. So as you're staring at your thumb might start to disappear and you'll see the object, and then vice versa. And again, it's creating that link. It's starting to like plant the seeds of creating the link between you and the object, okay? With these classical practices, you do not have to sit down and think like, oh, I have 5 minutes to meditate. I have to do a pratyahara setup. I've got to do a dharana setup. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. It doesn't have to be that way. Okay. You can do these things sequentially, or you can just do the practice that is going to help bring about the state that you have time for that day. Let's just say. So you could sit down and, if you're feeling pretty calm, you might just jump right into a mantra, right? You might just hop right into a tritak or what have you, okay? Pranayama, whatever you need, yeah? Okay. So I actually I forgot all about it until I just caught sight of this in the thing. So I have this, because this is what helped me to understand the differences between the three. You can see it? Okay, cool. So here with dharana, here's you, and here's your object, right? And you're focused on that object. And you can see you're starting to get close to creating that link. Whereas with dhyana is absorption. It's where you become involved with a particular thing so much that you establish a link between the thing and yourself. Okay, so once you have established that link, all other stimuli falls away. It is the moment where you are actually meditating, right? You're actually in that state of meditation rather than in all of those precursors. And this is a very delicate place to be, because the second you're like, oh, I'm meditating, I'm there, it's gone. It's gone, right? That's why it has to be caught, right? Because again, it's like, I talk over it. It's this delicate balance of you've peeled back the layers, you're settled, your mind is becoming clear. It's like the pond, right? The ripples on the pond are almost gone. You're creating that link. Then with samadhi, there's no longer a link. You're just there. You are fully in it. And I love this because samadhi means to bring together or to merge. And so I'm just gonna leave this here. Can we just make sure it doesn't slide? If you see it sliding, I'm gonna count on you to catch it, Matt. Okay. So there's not really specific practices for dhyana, right? It's a thing that spontaneously happens when you have created that link between you and the object. Have you ever felt a moment of this? Like, have you felt this stillness in any meditations that you're doing? So loud. Has anybody done a yoga nidra? Yoga nidra practice? No? Have you? Yeah. Highly recommend. Highly, highly recommend.
Yeah, I had one last week. It's awesome.
Nice. Yay. Which one did you do? Did you do the one with Janine? You go, you're muted, Greg.
Oh, hey, it was the Monday monthly one. I forgot who it was with. I think it may have been Janine, but it was really weird. It was really interesting.
Yeah, that is a good way to explain it. Yoga Nidra is, so a lot of times you might hear Yoga Nidra as described as a meditation. One of my teachers actually described it as, holy crap, it's so loud. Described it not as the meditation itself, but Yoga Nidra is the actual state of consciousness that you achieve when the conditions are met to bring this about. And so Yoga Nidra, and Hannah, it kind of reminded me of what you were talking about with the theta meditation that you were doing, because it brings you to the level of consciousness where you can begin to repair on a cellular level. And it can be a really powerful practice. It can equate, like an hour of Yoga Nidra practice can equate to about 3 hours of deep sleep. So, you know, like the different levels of sleep, you've got light sleep, you've got REM sleep, and you have like deep sleep, right? We only get in a normal night's sleep, if you're lucky, you might get maybe 15% of your actual time asleep is in deep sleep. But this deep sleep is where your body actually repairs and restores itself. Yoga Nidra kind of hijacks that, if you will, and puts you in that state for an extended period of time. And so you can really impact some deep healing with this practice. So highly recommend.
Felt like being put under.
Uh-huh.
uh,
Yeah.
And you know, it's like an exact science, and they bring you up, they bring you out of it, and you're just like awake. That's how it felt.
Yeah.
And the teacher called it a dump.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually had a really, like I've done Yoga Nidra with several different teachers, but with this teacher in particular, I don't know what kind of magic he was using, but I felt that. I felt like I was put under for like an hour, and then yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, and it was interesting too, because I was very pregnant at the time with my son, and you know, I was miserable physically because I had all kinds of like hip pain and stuff. And so as I started to like go deeper into it, I was like so uncomfortable. I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to lay here for this amount of time. And at some point, all the physical pain and sensations just like went away. And then when he like called us out, I was like, oh, there it is. Oh, it's all back. Okay. Yeah, I am so pregnant. But yeah, like it really is. I will say this, like, just be careful online if you like Google Yoga Nidra, because some of them are like too floofy and out there. Like it's a science, if you will, right? Like you'll be led through a body scan meditation, and then could be
Works on your patterns.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I haven't gone that far down the rabbit hole. I do know that it was studied enough, and a teacher named Richard Miller actually developed a version of it called iRest. That is actually used in like military applications with like PTSD soldiers and things like that. So like there's a lot of benefit with it. And it's a really powerful practice. From a really classical standpoint, it's done very sequentially. Like it'll start off with a body scan meditation, so that pratyahara experience, and then have you kind of bounce back and forth between opposite sensations. So like you'll be party in there. So it'll be like sense hot, sense cold, right? Sense different, sensations. And it's like all of this is to really start to get your brain into a state where you're still really aware, but you're in that slower brainwave pattern. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I was just looking, I have an ordering, so I have an app for my sleep, and I said 8 hours in 20 minutes, that's fine, finally. But then the deep sleep was 40 minutes,
Mhm.
8%.
Yeah, deep sleep is like, there's some nights I like once in a while I'll wear my watch. I don't usually do it. But like there's some times where I have like 3 minutes of deep sleep. I was like, yeah, no kidding. No kidding. That felt terrible. Yeah. With Yoga Nidra too, it's easy to fall asleep. The idea is not to fall asleep. But sometimes that's just what your body needs. And just know that if you do fall asleep in it, you're still getting the benefit of the practice, right? You're still there. It's like, there was one time I was like, my teacher was teaching a Yoga Nidra, and I wanted my husband to experience it. Man, if he wasn't snoring in 30 seconds, I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And my teacher at the time, like, he would come around and kick your foot if you fell asleep. Like, he would wake you up if you fell asleep. And I was just like, it's gonna be a long hour for you, bud. You got your work cut out for you. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, questions?
I have one.
Yes.
One, did you have one too? So,
Oh, I was just going to tell everybody that there's a midday yoga nidra tomorrow at like 12:15.
Yes, indeed. 12:15.
so it doesn't happen very often, and I couldn't even really tell you the exact time that it's happened, but had a moments where it was, where something just became so incredibly, I want to describe it as like blissful, calm, in a particular situation where it was just like pure clarity, like an overwhelming sense of calmness and just, I don't want to say satisfaction, but just like I know, does that even make any sense, right?
Oh, it does. No, it does. I'm giggling because we kind of talked about this on Tuesday.
Okay.
No, you're good. So talking about like moments of samadhi, right? Of this.
Without practice.
Oh, yeah.
it just,
Mhm.
You know, like even like in deep kind of maybe sadness or reflection on something, but without any actual posture or, so
Mhm.
just a moment.
Samadhi can happen. It can be brought about by really profound moments. It can be brought about by practice. And it could be brought about by simple, mundane things. Yeah, and it's the way that you're trying to describe it is pretty accurate because it's not something that you can describe with words. Yeah. Yeah. Even, in lots of texts, like there's not a lot of description with samadhi. I actually had a student one time that was like, look, I grew up with this stuff. You know, my family practiced yoga, I'm Hindu, you know, all of this. She's like, tell me about samadhi, because we don't talk about it. You know, because it's not something that you can talk about. Like I said on Tuesday, it's one of those things that the more you try to conceptualize, the further away from it you actually get. So when you have those moments, just embrace them.
Okay, good. I just wasn't sure if that was called something else because it
Yeah.
wasn't achieved.
Greg, you're missing the party in the hot room right now. Like you are missing it.
The hot yoga?
Well, yeah, it is. It's Scott's hot class.
Yeah.
They are having a good time in there. It is the opposite of what we're doing out here.
Great, right?
Good for them.
Yeah. So yeah, Karen, it's what you're describing is absolutely like states of samadhi. You know, Buddhists might call it nirvana, you know, whatever name doesn't matter. Just know that it's a state of being and there you are. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. And so with these practices, that might come about, right? You might have these moments of complete clarity.
So what does the Pratyahara
That mudra that we did. Yeah, Pratyahara doesn't have a drawing. It's really just the progression from dharana to samadhi. So yeah, let's actually let's do a meditation practice. Oh, one thing I did want to talk about, because this often will come up. Have you heard of flow state? Like being in a flow state? What do you know about it? Oh, I don't believe that. I don't believe that you've never been in one. Go ahead, Kim.
I mean, it's like when ideas are coming and you're just like. Not from like a reactive place, but it's like everything's kind of aligned.
Yeah.
You know, like they say like, I don't know, like the word, right? It's like sometimes there's some kind of like rhythm that begins to just like you enter this flow state and you're like. Just coming up with solutions and like, oh, I gotta make the next product, whatever.
Yeah, it can be in that regard, like business aspect regard of like ideas and problem solving. It can be musician creating a piece of music, artists painting. It could even be something like going on a hike, right? And you're so fully immersed in what is happening around you. You know, my husband will often, he's mountain biker, whitewater kayaker, rock climber, and all of this. And he'll say like, oh, you know, kayaking is my meditation. And I'm just like, God, I hope not, because you'll be dead. Like, no, but you are in the flow state, right? Like, and so flow state is this state where you are active, right? Your mind is active. You are connected with the thing that you're doing, so much so that you're like fully immersed in it. And a lot of times, like, students will conflate that with this idea of dharana, right? Where you're in that concentration, that single pointed focus. And it's different, right? Because in flow state, you are actively doing, whereas in a dharana practice, it is fully concentrated. All of your mental and physical power is focused on sitting still and being in concert with that object, right? So, you know, just these things are good things. Like being in the flow state is a really good thing because it kind of like primes the pump, if you will. It gets you ready for these different states of meditation. But just know that there's differences, right? Like it's not, if you are mountain biking or walking or what have you, or running, a lot of times people will say like, you know, when I'm running, I'm meditating. It's like, no, from a classical standpoint, no, you're not. The brain waves that you're entering and the state of focus that you're entering are very similar. But from a classical standpoint, like this is a spiritual endeavor, so you're not gonna be able to fully have all of your energetic and spiritual resources dedicated to, you know, the thing when you're literally pulled in different directions. Okay.
I feel like the running, this is like you have like. When you're running, you kind of get clarity. But I can't imagine it being like meditative.
Right. Right.
It's- You have to be aware
Yeah.
of things that are around you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the clarity piece, 100%.
Yeah. Well, and you can fall into the rhythm with the steps and your feet hitting the
Right.
ground and things like that. So it can be like really, you know, I can see how some people feel like it's meditative, but again, it's like there's too many outside factors that you have to be aware of in order to stay safe, right? You know, so you don't trip and smash your face. Oh, goodness. Okay. So what I would like to do is grab a bolster or blanket or bring a cushion that you're sitting on, and we're gonna transition over to the small studio so that we can not have to compete with the rave. The rave. It's fun. It's like once, you know, Thursday nights are over, if you haven't taken a Scott class, I highly recommend it. He's a ton of fun. But it's not fun to compete with while we're trying to meditate.
It's my third yoga.
Oh, geez.
class.
Your third yoga class was a Scott class? No, I think just third ever.
And it was an experience.
What's that? I don't know. You tell me. Yeah, so you'll want to scoot to the edge of the bolster, blanket, block, whatever you have, so that it kind of feels like your pelvis is tipping forward so that you can stay upright. They're traipsing in, Greg.
Oh, now I can smell it. Not my tea, not acceptable.
Lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, Trevor. Don't follow me though. I'm not that you.
My goodness.
And then you actually fell.
Started tipping.
So take a moment to just fidget and wiggle around, get yourself comfy. We'll sit for a little bit. 30 hours. 30 whole hours. We'll just see how it goes.
I'm confident. I'm just trying. I got a whiff of my tea a couple minutes ago. That was nice.
It's like tea,
No,
but it's like cold medicine.
it just started today.
No.
Okay. All right, Theraflu, Vicks Vapor Rub, whatever we got going on. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know I'm not. I just know that like stuffy noses, like. You can give me like stomach issues, whatever. I just hate stuffy nose. Drives me out of my mind, so I get it. Okay, so sit up tall, find your seat. Make sure that your knees are sloped away from your hips as much as you can so you can be comfy. And then you want to bring your feet close together, knees out wide. You can let your eyes close or find a spot to focus on out in front of you. And for this meditation, we'll take a mudra. So bring the tip of your thumb and your first finger to touch. Extend the rest of your fingers out, and then we'll take palms down. So let your palms face down on your lap. And just take a moment, maybe shrug your shoulders way up towards your ears, squeeze them up tight, and then roll them down and back. Just do that a couple times until you can find a neutral sense. You feel that squeezing up, feel that squeezing down, and see if you can find that middle ground. There's not a lot of effort, but you're still seated upright. And start to become aware of your breath. But don't worry about doing much to it at this point. Notice your mind. Notice what circles it's creating and let them be there. And simply just taking stock. And then once you have kind of a good frame as to where your mind is, allow your breath to deepen. Throughout the meditation, keep about a 25% awareness on your breath. And so that means to just be aware of it, be aware of when your mind wanders. And when it does, give it a gentle nudge back to your breath. If your eyes are not closed and it feels safe and okay to do so, go ahead and close your eyes. And be aware of your body. From the crown of your head to the tips of your toes, shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip, knee to knee. See if you can create a mental picture of your body. Almost as if you're looking at yourself in a mirror. And try to be aware of as many sensations in your body as you can throughout your whole body. Whether it's a physical sensation, mental sensation. Simply noticing, letting it be there. And then take a gentle shift in your focus and pay attention specifically to the sensations on your skin. You might be feeling your clothing touching your skin. Maybe you feel pressure where your skin touches the floor or your seat. Maybe your hair is touching your forehead or your shoulders. Try to be aware of skin sensations Simply witnessing without judgment. Don't worry about whether you like it or dislike it. Move all over the surface of your body. Fingertips, toes, your ears, your cheeks, your nose. You might even move your tongue around in your mouth and feel your saliva in your mouth. And then again, another gentle shift in your awareness, and tune into the sounds around you, near and in the distance. Without labeling, just witness. Perhaps you hear the cars on the street or your neighbor breathing. Maybe you can hear your own heartbeat. Try not to put a name or a label on it. Just notice, moment to moment, second to second. Be aware of your eyes. Roll your eyes side to side, up and down, and in circles. Feel the sensations of your eyes against your eyelids, but also notice the shift of the light and the shade as you do this. Pay attention to any patterns or colors that might arise, without striving to keep them there. Notice any scent, any smell. Try not to attach to whether or not you like the smell, but maybe notice if it's strong or subtle. Do the same with taste. Maybe you just ate or drank something that you can still taste. And then start to pull your focus in even deeper. Can you sense the structure of your body? Your bones? Feeling where one connects to the other. And see the bones as separate from yourself. And feel your spine from top to bottom, bottom to top. We'll let some of that sense awareness fade into the background. And breathe for a few moments. Again, noticing your breath, keeping that awareness there. If your mind wanders, you might decide to pay attention to your breath where it enters and exits your body, right at your nostrils, or sense the rise and the fall of your chest as you breathe. From here, begin to deepen your breath once again. As the breath pulls it into your body, imagine it drawing down your spine to the base of your spine. And as you exhale, that energy, that breath, that prana moves back up your spine. As you visualize the breath arising and descending between your navel and your throat. And the breath moves down. Breathing out, the breath moves up. Finding the gentle rhythm that works for you. The more you're able to relax, the easier this will become. If your mind wanders, let it be. Let it wander. But maintain focus on the rhythmic expansion and contraction that happens within your breath. Your focus grows deeper. You might synchronize the mantra Om Namah Shivaya with your breath. As you breathe in Om Namah Shivaya. As you breathe out Om Namah Shivaya. It doesn't have to be perfect. Simply letting it be whatever it is. Nodding to your connection, your divinity, your spark of light with every breath in and every breath out. Keep about 25% awareness on your breath. Your mind wanders, let it wander. Remember, don't try to restrain it. Know that it's wandering and rather let it move into the background as much as you can. Stay focused on the breath and the mantra moving together. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Mantra. And as you inhale, draw all of your feeling and all of your consciousness down to the base of your spine. Pause your breath briefly here while you hold your awareness at your root. As you exhale, release all physical and mental stress, toxins, worry, down and out of your body towards the core of the planet. Do this a few times. Breathe in, pull all of your senses, all your feeling, emotion, consciousness down to the base of your spine. Hold it there briefly. And then release it back to the earth as you exhale. in. Gentle sigh, release it out. Breath in again. Let it go. Let your eyes blink open. Good morning, yogis. Asleep. Is your leg asleep? Oh, it's the worst. It's the worst. All right. Talk to me. How you feel?
Some interesting visuals, what, at the end. When we put the hospital down. And then we released them.
Uh-huh. What kind of visuals?
A little, so like the Matrix, you know, how that. Kind of stuff on the monitor with all the. The words going, up and down, so the Matrix example, it's a little over exaggeration, but, it was it's like that where things were. Kind of shooting up and down. Kind of things.
Cool.
Like that. That's why I was saying it was weird.
No, it's cool. The second part of that little ending involves having you visualize like the energy as little flashes of light. So. Cool. What else?
I always feel tingly.
Hmm.
When I meditate,
Mhm.
and then my body, got warm
Mhm.
after a while. But I had a hard time concentrating with all
Mm.
the traffic,
Yeah.
so. And then my mind was going to, okay, what am I gonna do tonight? And I gotta clean my room, I gotta do this, and do that, so yeah.
Yeah.
But, I did concentrate on the breathing, and that seemed to help, so.
Good.
Mhm,
Good.
yeah.
Yeah, and again, like I was saying in the meditation, like your mind wandering, it's gonna happen, let it do it. The trick is to not follow it, right? And so it's like if you, okay, what am I gonna do tonight? Yeah, that's nice, I'll get to you in a minute, right? Whereas you could fall down that rabbit hole of what am I gonna do tonight? Well, I have to clean my room, and if I do that, I have to do this, and I have to do this, and then, you know, it just kind of spirals, and then the next thing you know, you're no longer meditating, right? But again, it's a practice. It's not, yeah, it's not something, it's always, you know. It's always interesting. People will say like, oh, I can't meditate because I can't sit still, and it's. Okay, I see that, but people start yoga all the time. They start an asana practice and they're like, I can't touch my toes, right? But you still show up and you still do the thing, right? So it's interesting how like things that are physically challenging, we tend to like be okay with more so than things that are mentally challenging, right? So I'm just gonna encourage you that wherever you are, like know that that's normal, and just keep going with it, keep trying. Yeah. What else?
So many stupid thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
But it was helpful, you know, coming back to the breath and something to bring the attention back to when I caught myself with all these dumb mundane things. And it was interesting, like everything around me kind of fell away. I had my eyes closed, obviously, but like I wasn't thinking about, even though you were guiding us, I wasn't thinking about you or anyone else in the room. So I was able to like turn inward and then all the thoughts and then coming back to breath. And then at the end, what I envisioned was like literally melting, not me, but like thoughts and emotions and senses and stuff that was melting away into the ground. Yeah, that's cool.
Like a little freshly malted shrimp.
All soft and squishy, and I was wondering. I was gonna curl up.
I love your mind.
It was shrimp for crab, but crabs freak some people.
It was really hard for me to like concentrate, like Laura, but then I was like when you were guiding us, it's like just, don't attach to it. So I was like, oh, the clouds, like paths. And then the chanting, the mantra, I loved that, but like I've only heard it in a song, so I was like singing it and backwards. So I was like, Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Nam.
Yeah, that's okay.
But it helped me to stay like, I forgot about everything else once I did that. And it was really interesting.
Yeah.
Like I gave up my brain a task and it was just like nothing else mattered. I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it.
I get like kind of lost in me, and then I almost feel like I'm gonna fall backwards, and then I get distracted. I'm like, oh, I'm not falling, and I have to lean forward. But like, it kind of almost feels like falling asleep. Almost feels like going. It's like about to have a dream, but not gonna dream. Like it's like waiting for the movie to start. Like my dream is gonna start, but then it doesn't start. And I feel like I'm gonna fall backwards.
No, that's normal. Depending on, lineages and things like that, it's believed that that's like a state of like your nervous system resetting. Just kind of like moving some stuff out of your nervous system. My teacher, my Buddhist teacher would explain that, because I was like, I know I'm probably not, but why does it feel like I'm going like this? Like, why does it feel like I'm, spiraling? And he's like, oh yeah, that's the energy storm. I was like, that's not helpful. What am I supposed to do with that? He's like, don't pay attention to it. So
We're gonna fall.
Right,
so.
yeah. But it's interesting. So like, again, this is like another way, like spot where, like the Buddhist meditation kind of departs from yoga meditation. Yoga meditation will tell you to lean into that. Right, and to experience it fully, right? Like not literally lean into it and fall backwards. But like, like the colors, like if you happen to see color swirls, and things like that, yoga oftentimes will tell you to pay attention to that. Whereas Buddhist meditation is like, pay no attention to that, because that is your mind trying to be in control. And it's like, which one do I go with? So, just do whatever feels right. But for me, that's usually like, I can feel it as like a pulsation of energy. And that's, for me, that's when I know like things are happening.
Yeah.
I kind of use that as like a gauge as to like what's happening in my body. So I don't know. Don't fall over. You're not gonna fall over, I promise. We used to take the teacher, before COVID happened, we used to take the teacher training group to an ashram for an overnight, and like make you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go sit and meditate for 30 minutes. It's not awesome. Like it's an experience, and I think it's beneficial for people to do, but like, oh goodness, I am not a morning person. So, sitting there, and at one time I would always feel terrible about like feeling like I'm gonna fall asleep, like that same feeling of like, oh God, here we go.
Right.
Like, oh, I'm going over. And I'm like, so at one point I opened my eyes and I'm like, surely I cannot be the only one. And it was so comforting to see people that live there and do these practices all the time doing this. Like, I was like, cool, I'm good. So like, yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. And I know exactly what you're describing, so. Yeah.
Babies, you'll watch like babies like rock themselves side to side and like try to rock them.
Yeah.
Or like why you rock a baby, it like does something to their nervous system.
Yeah, it is like different teachers will explain that that's like your nervous system kind of having that reset. or you're moving something out of your nervous system, whatever. All right. You gonna meditate? It doesn't always have to be that in depth, right? Like it doesn't have to be that in depth. It can be whatever you need it to be. I encourage you to get a set of mala so that you can count a mantra if you choose. Find something that works for you so that you can, I don't know, be a better human. Isn't that why we're doing all of this anyway? Okay, so in the handout, and we didn't get there. But in the handout are some ideas for you to take some of these meditation and pranayama concepts and bring them into like the hour-long vinyasa class that you're learning to teach. So like talks about before class, some things that you can do during class, and then as you end the class, like the different things that you can do. They're really practical, so we don't need to spend a ton of time on them. You can kind of read over them a little bit on your own, but get creative with it, right? Just play around with some of these concepts as you're practice teaching and things like that, so that it's not so like foreign when you go to start actually teaching. If you're gonna teach, I don't know what you're gonna do. I hope you teach. I hope you go out and spread this, but you know, it's your practice. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. Do what you want to do. One of our good friends always like, you go on and do what you want to do. Like, here we go. All right, friends, let's do a word, unless you have any other questions. No? Okay. Greg, you didn't get to do a check-in, so you get to do the word first. It happens every time he goes to unmute. You turn your camera off. Nope, you're still muted.
Yeah, it's just this app. I don't know. Sleep.
Okay, we'll go this way. T.
Enlightened.
Okay.
Joy. Love.
I'm sorry. Energy storm. All right, friends. I get to see you on Saturday. Are you sick of me yet? Well, Saturday, just so you know, Saturday is fun time. Saturday is like no pressure, like we're gonna have fun. It's,
Dance party?
I mean, it can be, it can be.
Can I bring my son? Cause that didn't show up.
I mean, it's like a posture clinic, but it's extra postures that aren't in the series. How old is he?
No.
So-
He's not 3. He's not 3 yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, so I was gonna say, like, we've had kiddos come with trainees before. I can't, my son is 8 and I can't bring him to do this stuff because he'll burn the place down. Like, he's a lot. But if you're ever in a bind, like, and you think he'll sit and hang out or be occupied, but that's,
Very 50-50.
yeah, I get it. I get it. Don't ever feel like you can't bring them though.
Okay.
I have a general question
Mhm.
about the review. Amber mentioned it during our mentor meeting, and she said that
Yeah.
you were gonna be posting it.
Oh, did it not?
I haven't seen
Oh,
it.
I might have gotten bitten by Google again. It's just a simple review. Like it's not, it has nothing to do with whether or not you get your certificate.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure I haven't missed it.
Oh, I'll check. It should have released, but I'll check it. I've been getting bitten with Google antics lately, so it very well could have just not scheduled it right for me. So I'll check. That said, we'll talk about on Saturday, we'll talk about the friends and family class. And how that works and what that looks like and everything. And then we'll dive into extra postures that aren't in your series. And it's really just like a fun time for you to have kind of just some downtime, low pressure type stuff, so that you have more things to add to your tool bag once you leave here.
Are we still doing the red robin?
No, no, there's none of that. No, there is none of that. You don't have to memorize this. I've lost them.
Said red robin, and I was like, yeah, that's what it's called.
Yeah. No, there's no red robin or round robin. Yeah, but no, it's there. This is not stuff that you're gonna be required to know. You don't even have to know the cues for it. It's mostly like, be ready to move, because you're gonna feel it in your own body. But it's just playtime. It's just playtime. It's
At
required
10 a.m.
playtime, but it's playtime. What's that?
Is it at 10 a.m. or 9 a.m.?
9.
Is-
Yeah. Yeah, regular time. It was only at 10 the other week because of the snow situation, so.
I have a last, but like, one more question about next Tuesday, because it's open place, like no faculty, that means we can just use this?
You sure
or-
can.
Or we can do it at home,
Mhm.
or, okay.
Yeah, whatever you need to do. The flex time is there for you to use however you want to use it. It means that the space is open and reserved for you if you want to use it. You've got to get here before they lock the doors for class though, because you won't have a way to get in if you don't. But yeah, same thing applies, just leave the space 1% better than you found it. Be respectful of the class, like the in class and stuff like that, but you can practice teach, you can bring a laptop and watch recordings together, whatever you want to do, or you can be like, nah, I'm staying home and not doing yoga. That is also okay. Okay.
You guys can come to my house.
Yeah.
We can have it,
Yeah,
we can just, and then.
I'm gonna leave that all up to you, so I'm gonna stop recording.
If you want.